Healthy soil is the foundation to every successful farm. But do we truly understand what our soil needs? So today, joining me, we have Miss Chazelle Thompson. She's a junior agronomist in the southeastern region at H&L Agro, and today we will be discussing soil health. Chazelle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Shaniel.
All right, so before we get into the fun part, can you tell us a little bit about what is soil and, give us a little bit of why is soil so important in agriculture?
So, soil is a natural, loose, unconsolidated material that covers a thin layer of the Earth's crust. Farmers view soil as an essential resource that nourishes and also give a sense of support towards their crops.
Okay, and what would you say are some effective ways to maintain healthy soil?
So in terms of maintaining healthy soil, farmers will first have to understand the type of soil texture that they currently have on the farm.
Okay.
So soil texture, there are three main types. So you'll have clay soil, which is a finer, coarser type of soil. Loam, that is a mixture of big and small particles. And then you have sand, which is large particles that will allow water to seep through faster and so forth. So once farmers understand what soil texture they have, they will now know how water moves through the soil. And in turn, they will also know how their plants uptake nutrients from the soil and also how their roots are being developed.
Okay, all right. So it is important for them to know, but how can they know? Like, how do farmers know what type of texture the soil has?
They can do it with a simple test at home, or they can also do a soil test where they send it to a laboratory and they can give you a rundown in terms of soil texture, the pH, the EC, and also the nutrients available in it.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the soil pH that you just mentioned.
So before I tell you what soil pH is, I'll tell you what pH stands for. So the pH stands for potential hydrogen, and this indicates how acidic or alkaline your water or soil is. So on a scale, it will tell you that from 1 to 6.5, your water or soil will be acidic.
Okay.
If it ranges from 6.5 to 8.5, it's in the neutral boundary. And from 8.5 to 14, it will be considered alkaline.
Okay, and how important would you say it is to know what level your soil pH is at?
All right, so the pH determines how your plants uptake nutrients from the soil.
Okay.
So once it is too acidic, it might cause your plants to have some form of defect, and it can also allow your farm plants to have a more susceptibility to insects. And if it's too alkaline, you'll have more susceptibility to fungal problems.
Okay, so how can we correct this, the pH in soil and water? How can we correct that?
Okay, so correcting soil pH, if your soil is too acidic, you can add limestone, natural limestone. So farmers will normally plow it in the soil and incorporate it before planting. And if it's alkaline base, you can use a sulfur product to help to balance back out that alkalinity. So in order to control your pH levels, we at H&L do provide a product called a blend. It is a water conditioner. It helps to neutralize your water and in turn increase the efficacy of any pesticide you would add to it while spraying.
All right, so since we're on the topic of healthy soil, what are some properties that we can look out for to know when soil is healthy?
So a healthy soil will dictate that you have a pH level of 6 to 7. You should have a high organic matter content. You should have good drainage, aeration, and also rich in your three primary nutrients, which is your NPK, your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium.
Okay.
Once you have all of those, you will be on the borderline of having a healthy soil.
All right, so I know a lot of farmers probably ask this question. So how do you go about improving soil structure?
Well, when it comes down to improving your soil structure, we at H&L do have a few product lines. So we do have our Fertiplus line, which is the organic fertilizer that you can use to help build up the nutrients in the soil. So differently from using products from H&L, there are other agricultural practices that can be done. So you can do crop rotation, cover cropping, ensuring that you don't do a lot of plowing and tilling because that would deteriorate the structure of the soil.
Okay.
And you can also ensure that you have proper drainage within the farm. So those are some simple ways to maintain your soil structure and your soil health.
Okay. Chazelle, with all that insightful information that you have just shared with our viewers and myself, I personally feel like I could start my farm right now.
I love that you said that because I can show you some quick and easy steps to test your soil texture and pH.
Okay, let's go.
Right. So if you want to be like Chanel, who wants to start her farm, here are some simple and easy steps to take to test your soil texture and how acidic or alkaline your soil is. So the first thing would be to get a clear container where you can actually see the different layers come into play. So filling up the jar, but not too much to leave the space for water. Then add some water to it. So you want the soil to be well saturated. Gonna seal it and then shake. Alright, so once you see it shaking now, you're going to see that the sand, which is the larger particles, is going to settle at the bottom. Then followed by the loam, and then you'll have the clay on top because it's a finer particles. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a marker to make it easier for me to measure. And wherever the sand stops, I'm going to make a mark. I'm just waiting for it to settle a bit. We're going to take the ruler and then write down the measurement, calculate the percentage, quick and easy math. And then we're going to utilize our texture plotting sheet. So you can easily get this on Google. So basically what you're seeing after the sand settles, it shows you the sand layer, which is a larger particle, loam, which is a mixture of small and large particles, and then you have the fine particles on top, which is the clay. Next, what we'll do, we use a ruler or tape measure, whatever you have available, and we'll measure the distance between each layer, and then we'll do the calculations. The first reading would be the sand, and this is saying 3.3. You can just jot that down for me, Chanel. 3.3. And then your loam would be 1.2. And the clay is 0.6. So the height of the bottle is 13 centimeters, so we're just going to divide that by 13 and multiply by 100 to get the percentage. Alright, so being that we have the percentage, so the sand percentage is 25%, the loam is 9%, and the clay is 5%. If you look on the table, it shows you which side of the triangle represents for which texture. So we're just going to find the percentage on each side, and then wherever those three lines meet, that's what the soil texture would be for this farm. Alright, so basically we have plotted the percentage for each soil texture, and if you can look closely right here, you'll realize that the soil texture that is currently on this farm is silt loam. Silt loam would mean that he has a high percentage of sand, causing water to move through faster than normal. We're going to do a quick pH test. So we're going to fill the jars with soil again and water.
Halfway?
Oh, yeah. Here about. I'm gonna put some water in it now. So here we have vinegar and baking soda. So the vinegar, once you add it to the water and you mix it, once it bubbles, it will tell you that you have a high percentage of alkaline in your soil. And with the baking soda, it tells you how acidic once it bubbles.
So we're going to 1 vinegar, 1 baking soda.
Right. So you're testing the alkaline and I'm doing the acidic. So you're going to put 3 tablespoons within it. You close the lid now and shake. As you can see, it already is forming a little bubble, but which means that it's not that dangerous. So I'm still going to use shake, shake, shake. As you see, it's foaming but not a lot, so that means that the alkaline level within it is not too high. So I'm testing the acidic. So if the acidic has the same amount of foam now, you can say that he is in the neutral range, which is 6.5 to 8.5. As you can see, there's not a lot of bubbles, so that would indicate that his soil is balanced. It's in the neutral range, which would be 6.5 to 8.5. Okay. So that's a basic way you can test your pH until you can send some sample to the lab where they give you an in-depth reading of what range it is. So with that, Chazelle, you will cover the first step of knowing your soil texture and pH, and you can start to plant.
I love that.
Right.
Thank you so much. This was fun. A healthy farm starts with healthy soil. Thank you all once again for tuning in to this episode of Ask the Agronomist. Be sure to join us next time for more insightful conversations. Until then, bye-bye.